The NFL trade deadline is days away. We're breaking down the top 25 trade candidates as of our live show Tuesday night. Hopefully nothing changes and it ruins the video. I did try to focus more on the names who could actually be available. The Raiders are not going to trade away Max Crosby. I don't think the Bengals are going to trade away Trey Hendrickson. I don't think Jalen Waddle's getting flipped. It'd be fun to be wrong on that because that's exciting, though. And there have not been enough trades as of late. Do you want to see more trades? Show it by liking the video for me, please, and thank you if you want to see some more trades happen. Let's go through positionally, offense to defense, some top trade candidates. Quarterback Russell Wilson. I don't think anybody wants him. I wonder if this is the end of the line for Russ. The Giants' offense looks so much more fun and good with him not out there on the field. I don't know if a team is going to be in the market there. Breece Hall is next up, the Jets running back. I don't know if he gets dealt. There's no Braylon Allen, but could be a nice run for Isaiah Davis. I think this is the best version, though, of Breece Hall we've seen in several years. The mobile quarterback helps, by the way. Boosts all backs. It's a rising tide, lifts all boats things. Jets are bad. Getting a pick back, though, would make sense for them. A lesser name to monitor is Jerome Ford of the Browns. You have the emergence of Quinshon Judkins. They did kind of redo Ford's deal to save them some money, make him more palatable in a trade. Hasn't played a lot, but has had some success in the past. Would not be surprised if Ford ends up getting flipped by the Browns to somebody. Jakobi Meyers has requested a trade, said, I am still open to being traded. Hasn't been dealt yet. Coming off the bye, coming off injuries. I thought it might be dealt during the bye. Raiders are kind of just a weird team right now where, his numbers aren't that different average-wise from last year. It's just that the volume has certainly taken a bit of a precipitous drop-off so far. But there are plenty of wide receiver needy teams. If I had to guess, this is the first name that I am most confident ends up getting dealt. There are other names that I think also get moved, but we'll get to them. Two-part ask on today's pinned comment. Shout out your team and name a player you want them to trade for. So a bit of a complicated ask, but you guys are all smart. So if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage. Shout out your team and name a player you want to trade for. The Saints are next up here. Rashid Shaheed, who has been the guy most linked by insiders, is like the non-Brandon Cooks name because he's not good anymore, who could get flipped. The Saints working on an extension for Chris Olave. We'll see. It could always change. That ends up not happening. Shaheed is a super fun vertical threat, big-time play. If you need to help out your passing game, he does that. Speed still matters in the NFL, and I think Shaheed would be a big impact for a bunch of different pieces. Tight ends, David Njoku is next up here. Look, the Browns are weird with what they do on offense. They do deploy both their tight ends at a pretty high clip, but Harold Fannin is the long-term tight end one for them. Njoku is kind of not getting targeted, but has very much kind of seen his production fall off there. There might not be that many tight end needy teams. Njoku is one of them. So too is Mark Andrews. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Ravens just continue to move more and more into the give Isaiah Likely the lead tight end spot. Andrews' numbers over the course of several years from a consistency standpoint have very much begun to slide down. Likely has not been very productive this year either. He's got just, the 5 catches this year. Did miss some time earlier in the year. Hasn't played that much with Lamar Jackson, so the tight ends numbers are all down in Baltimore. But Ravens could maybe get something back for him. It is tough to find offensive linemen who get traded because if you're a starter, teams do not like trading you away. That's how it goes. Braxton Jones got benched by Chicago. He started games. A team might have interest there. Evan Neal was an extremely high-value draft pick. He has not been very good for the New York Giants. Would not be surprised if the Giants, if they can get anything for him, move on. Now, today's show is made possible by Ethos. As a father of 2 kids, it's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened to you, but you got to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL daily. That's ethos.com/NFL daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. They're an online platform making life insurance fast and easy. Protect your family's future in minutes and not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage for them. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL daily. That's ethos.com/NFL daily. Application times may vary, rates may vary. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. TJ Bass of the Cowboys has also started some games over the course of his NFL career, and for the most part has been at least serviceable, is how I would describe that one. Of note for Bass and the Cowboys, unlike, for example, Evan Neal, RFA status for Bass. So they would be able to retain him if they really, really needed to. Let's go defense heavy the rest of the way here. Jaelen Phillips, I think, is the most likely, notable, not Melvin Ingram, edge that could get dealt by the Miami Dolphins. He is on an expiring contract. And if the Dolphins aren't going to pay him, which they drafted Chop Robinson, they signed Bradley Chubb, I would argue that Jaelen Phillips makes the most sense. But team might still want Bradley Chubb as well. I will put both of those Dolphins edges on there. I'm thinking one of them ends up getting moved. Chubb actually has more sacks this year than Phillips, but fewer pressures. He's finished off his pressure chances at a higher rate. But I do think from a more advanced perspective, you can argue that Phillips has been better. Wouldn't be shocked if a team traded for Phillips and he had like 5 sacks down the stretch over the course of the season. So pick one to trade for if you're a team that's in the market for an edge, obviously. BC for Bradley Chubb, JP for Jaelen Phillips. The Jets have said they're not going to trade Jermaine Johnson. John said he doesn't want to get traded, so this one is a slight stretch. I think it's still more available than Quinnen Williams is. I like Jermaine Johnson. I think there's a reason teams are calling. He's got an extra year of team control, and I do think that intrigues teams. The sack numbers are not good. The Jets are bad, and turns out, guys, it's hard to get sacks on a bad team. Kayvon Thibodeaux has had teams calling about him in talks with the New York Football Giants. Much like Johnson, not as convinced this move ends up happening. Thibodeaux is a good football player. The sack numbers aren't quite where I'd like him to be. The pressure rate's not either. Some coaching issues on defense up in New York. All my Giants friends do not like Shane Bowen. Go figure. I think that because he's under team control, the Giants are not in any rush barring a big-time trade. Arden Key of the Titans is next up here. And I think trading away someone like Arden Key makes a lot of sense. He's kind of been a journeyman over the course of his NFL career. He's been with the Titans for several years now. The Jags have had him. The Raiders have had him. He had the one brief year with the 49ers, helped him get paid by Jacksonville. If you want a mercenary edge, which I think the Niners stand out as a really good fit there, by the way, trading for Key is an option. Let's go to a defensive tackle. Sebastian Joseph Day is next up here. A far more attainable name than Jeffrey Simmons. Obviously not as good either, but he is a reliable role player. I think does some good stuff against the run. If you're looking for some defensive tackle help, I do think Joseph Day makes some sense and shouldn't be that expensive for a team that needs to be selling, having already fired their head coach. Now, if you watched our live show on Tuesday, wait a minute, that was Keon White's spot. And you're right, but Keon White got traded from the Patriots to the 49ers, so we replaced him. We'll have free NFL trade deadline coverage for you all season long here, so make sure you guys are subscribed. Logan Wilson is next up here from the Bengals. They might not trade him because they are very banged up at the linebacker spot. I also don't think that the Bengals should be benching Logan Wilson with the way their other younger guys are playing right now. But I do think Logan Wilson can help a team if the Bengals were to shop him. I don't think he's as big of a liability in coverage. His instincts are better. He's not what he was in his prime. I don't think he's a bad football player. Demario Davis, I know, is not a bad football player. He's still a very, very good football player. The Saints in general, I guess their culture is pretty good because a lot of these guys are saying they don't want to leave. Alvin Kamara threatened to retire if he got dealt out of New Orleans. Demario Davis hasn't always been a Saint, though, in the same way that AK has been. If he says, I actually do want to go ring chase somewhere, maybe the Saints would grant him that trade. Gives more playing time for someone like Danny Stutzman, who's going to take over sooner than later at linebacker anyway for New Orleans. Davis would probably be a late day 3 draft pick trade value, but he's a damn good football player. Christian Harris, I do think, is available in Houston because he's just not playing. From a couple of years, we looked like he was going to be a linchpin part of that Texans defense. He showed so much promise with a pretty high tackle season, some TFLs, pass breakups back in 2023, even 2022, but he's played 9 games since then with 23 tackles total. Injuries have been a factor here. Seems like he's fallen out of favor in Houston. Wouldn't be overly shocked if there was a buyer for him to be on his way out. I don't think he'll be back in Houston next offseason anyway. Another Saints, Alante Taylor of New Orleans. Now, while his raw numbers might have dipped a little bit from a prorated figure, the sacks are down. TFLs are actually trending towards being pretty similar. Pass breakups are down. I also think he's getting beat as much in coverage. And I do think that matters for any corner, obviously. The Saints, per ESPN, said that they didn't want to trade him, but if the right offer came, they would consider it. I think that's true for a lot of guys on this Saints roster. The question is, do they want to start paying him? And that's the issue that they face with a lot of different players on that team. So if you want to include the 2 Patriots trades that went down Tuesday night, that's fine. But over or under 9.5 trades between now and the end of the NFL trade deadline. O for over, U for under. Go vote in the comments of today's show. Michael Carter II of the Jets. Remember, they made the move for a different corner. Carter not playing as much. If you're in the market for a nickel, with Jarvis Brownlee now in New York, I do think calling about Michael Carter is a reasonably affordable trade candidate for the Jets to consider flipping. Bigger name at corner, though, is Reek Woolen. It just feels like Seattle doesn't like him anymore, and they don't want to deal. They don't want him playing as much anymore. If they can find a trade partner, I'm a little surprised they haven't yet. Maybe they're trying to max out that value a bit more. I think a team should come calling. He's not going to probably put up 16 pass breakups, 6 INTs, but I don't think he's a bad player at all. The Bengals and Cam Taylor-Britt. It feels like once a year, CTB just gets benched by the Bengals. It happened again against the Steelers, and he came back and played the next week, and the Bengals defense still stunk. I think he's done in Cincinnati after this year. The former second-round pick. It's a matter of does anyone want him right now. Under the radar name for the Dolphins, I think it's Mika Fitzpatrick. The trade for him when they shipped out Ramsey, I thought was kind of weird because I'm like, do you want to go get another vet? That was kind of interesting to me. He's not the player he was at his absolute peak in prime, which was probably 2022. But he's still good. He's still a starter. And if you want a safety, I think Minka stands out. Final player on our list. Initially, it was Kyle Duggar. We had to change it because we filmed it Tuesday, but we're updating it for you guys. Tony Adams is on this list, the Jets safety. Would not be shocked if he gets dealt. I do wonder if the Andre Sisco injury kind of reduces the chances of a trade there from a sheer numbers volume game perspective. But if a player is in the Jets' 2026 plans, then yes, they should be shopping them right now.